Okay, we're back, and what we're going to do now is get going on the finish for the second coat on this rod. And we've gotten everything clean, we've gotten the decals in place. Now the next thing we're going to do is start putting, getting close to finishing up with all this finish. So what I normally do first is I actually start about right here and go all the way up the rod. As the finish starts to get a little bit harder, I'll come back and address some of this area down here. So we're going to get to the winding check in a little bit, but for now all you do is start loading up the rod. Get a nice coat on there and start working our way up. And that's all I do is work my way around the rod, loading it, and then work much that is, or excuse me, threads that are exposed. If I feel it's a little thin in some areas, I can go in and add a little more. Because what I think I have on this rod is there's a little thicker area down here near the bottom, down in this area. So I want to level that out. So add some in other places and not as much in others. And this is where you got to get some timing when you start working around these guide feet. You've got to start working around them so that you don't hit them. And then what I will do on my second coat of finish on the larger rods, you can see that I'm getting up around the edges here where the thread meets the veneer. But what I'm actually going to do is put this brush down and then pick up one of these. This is nothing but a smaller headed brush. And I really want to concentrate on the corners. Remember those caves that we talked about? I want to get finish and plug off the openings to those caves. They can be unsightly when the rod is complete and out fishing. So I just want to make sure it's a little, like I said in one of the first videos, it's attention to detail. And you don't get those areas quite clean and quite filled. Over time, you're going to build up salt in there. When that salt builds up, it will corrode the guide foot. When it corrodes the guide foot, the guide has to be replaced. So that you're trying to do everything you can from the get-go to avoid having a rod ever come back to you for a repair. And I want these rods out on the water fishing. I don't want them back in my shop. So I keep working my way up. Now I'm over the label area. The label area I'm going to go a little thicker because remember, this is my first coat of finish on the label area. So I will coat this on. One thing you're going to see when you do your second and third coats, or even just your second coat of finish if you're only putting 2 on, you're not going to have the air bubble issues that you had the first time around, simply because the air bubbles have already been expelled from the threads. So this coat is going to be mostly a leveling concentration issue that you're going to have. You're gonna work on getting enough finish and enough coverage in areas so that you don't have any problems. Making sure it's nice and level. I'm almost to the bottom of this mix, so it's sat for a little bit. It's gotten a little bit cooler, which means it's not as viscous as it was. come back down here to the beginning, and I will zero in on this so you can see what I do with my winding check.